Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Howard Stutz, the executive editor of CDC Gaming Reports, for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers tapings in Las Vegas are brought to you by the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce.
Nearly 200,000 Nevadans work in retail businesses, supporting families and the community. Nevada's retail businesses generated over $2 billion in sales tax revenue in 1 year, including nearly $700 million to help our schools. Shop around and see all that Nevada's retailers offer our state.
We're the Retail Association of Nevada, representing thousands of Nevada businesses.
Businesses that work for Nevada.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology, like this electronic eye, that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you, because trucks move America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are always pleased to welcome back to the program Howard Stutz. He is the executive editor of CDC Gaming Reports. Pleasure to have you back on the program.
Welcome to Vegas.
Thank you, sir. Sports betting has gone crazy since the rulings from the Supreme Court. There is so much money. The New York Times had an article this morning that was covering the scrutiny as far as any illegal activity, cheating, money laundering. It did kind of make me think, don't you realize that, for example, Nevada has been doing this for a long, long time? Has there been criminal activity that they're concerned about so far, or are they just so concerned to keep this clean for the teams?
Well, there was a hiccup in New Jersey early on where FanDuel was running a sports book for one of the casinos in New Jersey. They had a goof up in their mobile sports wagering where the odds were really goofed up, and some guy would have won like 82,000, I think it was, or more. And New Jersey, they basically paid him because they didn't want to deal with. New Jersey kind of said, pay him. It was your problem, you pay him. So they're getting those kind of technical glitches, but otherwise it's been exactly what we thought it would be. Phenomenal. I mean, there's 8 states now, including Nevada, with some form of sports betting. And more are on the way. We're going to see, it's the way it's going to move forward.
Do you think it's just going to be nationwide within the next couple of years?
I don't, most states, I think with casinos or racetracks will eventually have it over the next few years. What I found interesting is Eilers Krejcik came out with a report early on that said New Jersey will pass Nevada by 2021, and it might even be sooner. And I asked, well, what about if New York got involved? And they said, no, it's still going to happen. And it's just because of the amount of people in the state of New Jersey, because they have mobile sports wagering like we have in Nevada. So you have this casino spread out. You're going to see a lot of people that get into mobile sports wagering that live there because they, can't get to a casino. It's just going to grow. It's just pure population. And I think, it's just something over time that we're seeing it blend in. I mean, the leagues, other than the NFL right now, have accepted it. They've signed deals with MGM, all three, the NHL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball. It's just something it's just going to move forward.
Do you think that might change as far as the NFL goes when the Raiders actually start playing in Las Vegas?
Well, I think that's part of it, but I think also it's what Jim Murin of MGM said in a conference in New York this week that he thinks the league, the owners, the Jerry Joneses, who signed a deal, Dallas Cowboys have a big deal with the big Indian casino in Oklahoma, the WinStar Casino. They signed a deal with the tribe. I think the owners will push this along with the NFL, and that's what'll get the NFL on board.
I want to go abroad here. Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts at this point of who are in the lead as far as potentially getting a license?
We don't know. No, because we don't see. There hasn't been an RFP process put out yet. There was a story last week that Osaka is getting this big world fair now, world, and so that could be one of the sites. That's, you usually think right now when you think about the process in Japan, you probably think at least 2 of the licenses are going to go to one of the American companies, either MGM, Caesars, or Las Vegas Sands. Wynn is too much in flux right now.
Really?
Still, I think, and that they want to be there, but we'll see what happens with Wynn. And
they don't think they're out of it.
Oh, no.
Pat Mulroy was here on the program
Yeah.
and talking about the respectful way of dealing with the Japanese and.
Oh no, Wynn's, look, they're never out of it. We never, and especially now that Phil Satri's chairman, that changes a lot of things with Wynn. But the most thought is that one of the license will go to like Genting or another.
Yes, Sig
Asian-based
Rogic was on
company.
the program talking about that as well.
Yeah, they may have some insight there. I at this point. It's so early right now. I mean, they're still dumping money, and MGM made it a point the other day when they announced their deal with Major League Baseball that in terms of sports betting, that they're going to sponsor this Major League Baseball touring exhibit that's going to go through Japan. So MGM's attaching their name to that. So that's what you see a lot of right now.
Macau,
Mm-hmm.
Tariffs, trade war, license renewals. What are your thoughts on this?
Macau is taking some hits right now because there is a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of concern. There was a report out of Hong Kong earlier this summer that said the trade wars the tariffs, the trade war are going to hurt the gaming licenses in Macau. The licenses said no, but the numbers in Macau have been down. They did, it's interesting. They had. October was the largest revenue month in like 5 years in Macau, but it was still only a 2% increase over a year ago. There's a little uncertainty, and the licenses are a big problem because they're coming due. Yeah, not till 2020, 2022, but it's kind of an overhang on the stocks for these 3 companies, for MGM, Wynn, and Sands. We're going to just see how Macau plays out. I think it is a big question mark right now. That's why you see MGM making so much focus here in the U.S. on growing their brand. So we'll see where it all shakes out.
I thought it was very interesting. I was talking to Grant Govertson of Union Gaming, and we were talking about the bridge that they just built from Hong Kong to Macau, because for those that don't know, it's about a 2-hour ferry ride if you take the regular ferry. This would be about a
35-minute drive. Yeah.
Right. He didn't think that there was going to be a big increase in revenue in Macau because of that.
Well, they had some issues apparently. The bridge has been backed up with traffic, I guess, since it's open. I mean, they spent $20 billion on this bridge, and it took them 9 years to build. It's like
amazing.
It's an amazing, when you see pictures of it, it's the world's largest bridge across a body of water. I think it's just depend on, it's a way to get the middle market, middle income Chinese customer to get into Macau. It might it's going to take a challenge of driving, where you park in Macau. I mean, Macau's got its own infrastructure issues, getting folks in and around between the peninsula, which is the downtown, the downtown area, and the peninsula, where Cotai. So, I mean, they've got their issues. I think I think it'll take some time, but I'm not there. Grant has lived there for 10 years, so
I'm thinking the solution is buses. That way
some type of buses, some type of light rail they've talked about in Macau. I mean, we'll see where it all goes.
But yeah, I hadn't thought about the parking issue, but you're absolutely right. They are definitely landlocked.
We saw my favorite moment when I went to Macau 10 years ago. Jeff Shad of the RJ and I went, and was the employee parking lot for the Wynn Macau was just basically this roped off area for scooters. The employees all get around on those little motorized moped scooters, and that was the employee parking lot.
It's an amazing place. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. More with Howard Stutz when we come back.
How do you shed some light on a better economy? Start with growth inspired by Valley Electric Association. We're a member-owned power company that puts Nevada first, and we're doing big things, like providing prosperity by securing renewable energy projects. For Nevada, that means more jobs and more opportunities, all for a strong statewide economy. In other words, together, we're doing powerful things. Visit us at vea.coop to learn more.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Howard Stutz. He is the executive editor of CDC Gaming Reports. Let's talk about Wynn and the decision to go back to the golf course and to move and progress with the Alon property. What were your thoughts on that?
In a way, not really surprising. I think, Matt Maddox was president of the company when Steve bought the Alon site, and then he said, we're going to build the Alon site, we're going to build Paradise Park. And I'm one of those go back, when they announced Paradise Park, I couldn't write about this, I was working for a law firm, after I'd left the RJ. It was almost like Steve, it was an investor's day, and he just threw this idea out there that we're gonna tear up the golf course and build Paradise Park. And it was like that night, and all of a sudden the analysts started putting out notes, and later that night, Wynn put out a press release about it because they pretty much violated fair disclosure rules on it. Because I think he just kind of came up with that idea, and it's something that he's had, and it was progressing along, but it was smart of the company. You don't need to build 2 hotels right now. We're still waiting to see Resorts World open up. We're still waiting to see what happens with the old Fontainebleau site. Go ahead, and they're not even really building a hotel project with Paradise Park. They've decided to just turn this into, now they're going back to the golf course, which is a great idea. It's going to take them a year to get it open again. They got to reconfigure 2 of the holes because of this convention expansion, and then they can go ahead and plan on the Alon site, which is a much better site for a hotel casino than sticking it behind Wynn and Encore and doing something there. So it's a smart move. I think that's the influence of Phil Satry. I think you're kind of seeing. That's just a guess. I don't know. But it's a little more prudent.
Yeah, it just gave me a little quirk that Roger Thomas, who's been such a creative genius for Wynn over the years, was potentially being stymied by, the water park.
Now they can go on and look, the Alon site, the old Frontier site. That's not going to happen for a while. I mean, they're smart enough to know. First off, they're building Boston. That's taking company resources. They've made they announced some plans on the last earnings call about Macau, about this 7-acre site, I think 7 or 15-acre site next to the Wynn Palace.
Yeah, Pat Mulray says it's going to be an astonishing property.
Well, yeah, it's an all non-gaming, which is what Macau wants more of. So they're moving on that. I think you'll see eventually down the road as things move forward with the Alon site. But no, it's smart to go back to the golf course. They'll reopen it. They're bringing back the original designer to kind of fix those holes and redo it. And it's still, we'll see now. Maybe they'll bring back the Country Club restaurant. That was a nice place to go to lunch. So maybe they'll have that come back.
The stock price, does that truly reflect the loss of Steve Wynn?
I think the stock, part of it's that, but the other part is just the uncertainty of what's going on with the company. I mean, all these companies have taken a hit over over the last few months. If you look at the stock prices, they're all, like some of them are all at 52-week lows. And each one is a different reason. You know, Caesars and MGM was because of the third quarter numbers.
You know, if I can just interrupt for a second, I thought that was so bizarre. And it just shows you how emotional the stock market is. They made it very clear, we don't have the conventions in third quarter as we had the previous year. It's going to be down. Everybody knew. The numbers came in, it was going to be down, and still the stock price took a hit.
Let's play this what it was in those earnings calls. Caesars went on, Fisara and said, you know, the third quarter is going to be down. They just kind of made it offhanded. The stock started tanking in the middle of the earnings call. Then the earnings call was a disaster. Then he goes on an hour later on CNBC and exasperates the whole thing. It was with a terrible interview on CNBC. A few days later, Jim Murin does the MGM earnings call, and he starts arguing with analysts, starts yelling at them about how you guys are obsessed with RevPAR. So it was really just a big disaster that kind of what drove things down. And now we just saw great numbers here in Vegas for October, so things seems to be kind of rebounded.
Shouldn't there be a video of the Steve Wynn conference call where he got a little crazy with the analysts and Kirk Kerkorian came in and bought the company?
Well, that was I wish there was a video. I just read in William Rempel's book on, you know, Kirk had invested in MGM, pulled back, you know, when Steve said don't, and then Steve went to the analysts and started singing Miss Saigon or whatever the hell he did, and the whole company tanked. But getting back to your original question about the stock prices, it's just a combination of things for different companies. And when it's the uncertainty in Boston, Macau, and just maybe some of the uncertainty of the whole company itself, you know, as this moves forward. So, you know, we'll see where things start moving forward. But it doesn't reflect, I think, really the true value of Wynn, obviously.
Yeah, and for the other gaming, well, I don't know about all the other gaming companies, but some of the other gaming companies that have taken a hit, you look at what's down the road for them and the potential, unless these trade wars do tend to get worse. But I'm thinking that the relationship, the very close relationship between Sheldon Adelson and the president might mean that there would be a tempering that would not cause Las Vegas Sands to have issues with license renewal.
Well, we will see. We'll hope. But then again, you know, we'll see if that's the case. You know, I think MGM is going to be contingent on what's going on here in the U.S. Remember, they're not as tied to Macau. I mean, got two properties there. What they're doing in the U.S. National Harbor's been a gold mine from the get-go.
Yes.
It looks like MGM Springfield's doing well. And we got to remember, in February, they should close the deal, and they'll have the Empire Casino and the Yonkers Racetrack about, 11 miles outside New York City. So that's a gold mine. That could be a potential, move forward for the stock for them. So,
an interesting time, and there are not bargains, but good pricing available.
Well, you saw what happened with, with the merger with Penn and Pinnacle, and we're seeing some of these deals. Boyd's growing. They bought 5 properties. They've added 5 properties in very big U.S. markets for Boyd Gaming this year. So it's we're seeing a little consolidation, and we'll see how that plays out going into next year.
Well, and El Dorado.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
it's just phenomenal.
Now they have a board casino on the Atlantic City Boardwalk, the Tropicana, 2 in Laughlin. Their goal with El Dorado, what a lot of the analysts have said, is they want to see them reduce debt. And I think that's what we're going to see what happen with El Dorado. Tom Reeg is taking over as CEO starting in January from Mr. Carano. And part of that is I think they're going to bring down debt. But then again, he said we're still looking. They may still end up with something here or there.
There's hardly a property that comes on the market or group that comes on the market where El Dorado is not one of the companies named.
What you have is also that I wrote about recently at CDC is the REITs the Real Estate Investment Trust getting involved. And a company like GLPI needs different partners. That's why they struck the deal with El Dorado. You see Caesars REIT going out with Penn National now. So you're seeing a lot more of these. There are a lot more of these opportunities because of the real estate investment trusts getting involved, buying all the land, and then looking for an operator to take over the operations and pay the lease. And that's where a company like El Dorado fits in.
Amazing. Let's take a break. More with Howard Stutz when we come back.
Nevada Newsmakers tapings in Las Vegas are brought to you by the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce.
One of the most psychologically damaging things parents can do to children in divorce is disparage one another, which is why I can't believe I even have to make this commercial. Half of your kids' genetics come from this person you're spewing hate about. Your children have the right to love you both, but more than that, they deserve to love themselves.
Marilyn York might be a men's rights divorce attorney, but this is for every selfish parent. Shut up.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Howard Stutz. He's the executive editor of CDC Gaming Reports, the biggest name in gaming reports. So we were talking in the break there about Boyd Gaming, 29 properties now. But the one they're missing is the one that Genting is building on now that is coming out of the ground. When they owned Stardust, which became Echelon, which became Genting. So where might Boyd fit on the Strip if they want to?
There's probably several places, but you know, I've asked Keith Smith that, the CEO. I know Wall Street has asked Keith Smith that. He said we're not going to rush just to buy something on the Strip. They want it to be the right fit for the company, the right price, obviously. Same with El Dorado. You know, we were talking about El Dorado. I mean, that's the one place in Nevada that they're not in, is in Las Vegas and on the Strip. What Boyd also says is the properties they have downtown, they're still it's still Las Vegas. You know, they can go and you can go out in some of their locals properties, you know, Aliante, or you can go out into, you know, to the Sun Coast, or you know, one of Orleans, or one of their other coast properties out in the locals market, which are still big casinos.
Oh yeah,
so they're they'll be. I think they'll be on the Strip eventually. I'd love to be able to predict and say a year or two, but I think we'll see some movement depending on what happens with some of these other companies that we see moving along.
And when you look at the Cosmopolitan, they're up for sale. Anybody you're thinking that might be a taker?
The name we heard was the people that bought the Hard Rock, that group. That Richard Branson was an investor in. That may be that's one we've heard of. But it could be a one-off company, a company like a Boyd or an El Dorado could be looking at that. You know, that's the one piece of the puzzle that they would, you know, especially El Dorado would love to have.
But wouldn't that be a very expensive property to buy?
It's expensive. It depends on, well, everything's expensive, but everything has its price, and it's not as. It's gone up in value. Bill Macbeth and the team have done a great job with the Cosmopolitan. It's you know, the location is fantastic. So we'll see where it ends up.
SLS has now been taken over by Alex Morello. I still say that Las Vegas is going to be surprised when he's done doing what he's doing with that property, because he has been incredibly successful in Reno. But he was also looking at the Rio.
Well, he's also, well, everybody says, but Caesars, the Rio would be the property they'd sell. But I always question, okay, well, where do you put the World Series of Poker? You know, I mean, that needs that huge convention space. Morello, what
they'll build.
Yeah, they'll build, whatever. We'll see. Well, Caesars is building a convention center right behind Link. You know, Morello, we're waiting to see. Obviously, the name SLS will go away and it'll become probably Grand Sahara. We're waiting to, you know, and his challenge is going to be being in that location on the north end of the Strip. It's right at the edge of downtown. whatever happens with when Gentine finally moves forward, whatever happens with the empty Wet and Wild site, and with the Fontainebleau. But for a while, he's going to be a little bit of an island, and that's going to be the biggest challenge, I think, for Morello.
No, I would agree, but I think that he has the financial resources to be able to hold out for a couple of years. And when that convention center is packed and Genting is packed, there's going to be spillover. Because remember, I think it was Life is Beautiful was the one time when SLS was packed.
Oh yeah,
because nobody could get in anywhere else.
Yeah, the convention center is going to be the big key for Morello and SLS, Sahara, whatever you want to call it. I think it's that's a big key for him.
And I was saying this earlier in the week on the program. We drove from the convention center to the Strip and just realized how huge that expansion is going to be.
Oh, it's a huge. When you look at the site, it's the old Riviera. The old Landmark is gone now. That parking lot has been torn up. So there's a huge expansion that they're going to do, and then they're going to go back across the street and redo the original convention center. So it's a big project moving forward.
The best thing? Always good things for us to talk about.
It gives us a lot to talk about, Sam.
Howard Stutz, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
For having me on.
And we'll be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
St. Ives Florist, for every holiday and every special occasion. For romance. Custom home design. We have the largest selection of fresh flowers in northern Nevada. And we also offer a large selection of unique gift items. Come see me, Lorianne, at St. Ives Florist, 700 South Wells Avenue, or call me at 333-9190.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com. You can also download podcasts of the show free of charge or watch us on YouTube. We'll see you on the next broadcast.